Now it's time to present the i-3 Award for Impact, Innovation, and Influence. The award is given by the Newhouse School to recognize an individual or organization that has focused the public's attention on the importance of the media to our economy, democracy, and culture. The recipient of this year's i-3 Award is the New York Times. Here to offer remarks is the executive editor, Dean Baquet.
Start by congratulating Eric. It's an honor for the Times to receive this recognition at a time when the very basics of journalism, competition, aggressive reporting of truth in the face of great opposition, indeed nuts and bolts reporting are so powerfully on display. It is a reminder to us that as much as we must change, and we must indeed change, we can't lose sight of our greatest strengths. The surest way to have impact in journalism is, as always, by doing impactful and hard-hitting stories, no matter the form. To my mind, there are two recipients of today's award. The first is a generation of New York Times editors, writers, war correspondents, graphics artists, opinion writers who believed in the institution like a religion and have protected it against all manner of attack, from earth-shattering shifts in the media landscape to politicians who sometimes don't understand the role of the press. That generation includes the great investigators and foreign correspondents and the videographers who proved that Syria's leaders gassed their own people, the copy editors who protected its language, the reporters who remain in Afghanistan long after it was a sexy story, and the graphics artists who helped make snowfall a household word, at least in journalism households. A couple of those people are here today, and I would love to stop and give them their own round of applause. The second recipient you will be hearing from next, and that is Arthur Sulzberger. I'd like to dwell on Arthur for just a bit. A generation ago, great newspaper names and powerful families loomed large on the landscape of American journalism. The Knights, the Chandlers, the Bancrofts, the Grahams, the Binghams. They fought epic fights for the First Amendment. They dominated the annual prize competitions. They made governments quake, and they shaped their communities. Today, very few of those great families remain in control. The Newhouse is very powerfully among them. Arthur is the one modern publisher who can actually say that despite a tumultuous landscape, his institution is more powerfully journalistic, more important to the world than the day he started. Arthur, driven by an extraordinary sense of mission, has navigated the Times to the other side. He has made a series of decisions that should be studied in business school, making the Times a national paper when that seemed foolhardy, ignoring those who said people would never pay for a digital news report, no matter how good, embracing a digital future when it seemed very, very far away, and protecting the quality and ambitions of Times journalism, often at great personal cost when others set their sights lower. The Arthur Sulzberger I've come to know published a hard-hitting investigative story about China, even though it cost the company millions of dollars. The Sulzberger family I've come to know sits with great pride and attention every year as Times journalists describe their great stories. They have protected a large and robust newsroom at a time when others have shrunk. Several weeks ago, I sat in Arthur's office listening as he explained to the new White House that they had to talk on the record when they came to the Times. This was a day after a group of news leaders went to Trump Tower for a humiliating off-the-record scolding. I had two thoughts as I listened to him talk to the White House spokesperson. Is there another American publisher who could be so bold? I don't think so. And then I had another thought. I'm honored to work for this guy. In fact, I'm speaking for generations of journalists and all my predecessors as executive editor. That's why I'm thrilled to introduce him today. And as I said, dozens of journalists deserve tremendous credit for protecting the Times and ensuring its future. The Times has had a burst of new readers over the last year because of the work of those hundreds of journalists over generations. But no one single person deserves to accept this honor more than the publisher of the Times and his family. Thank you.
Well, thank you for that very, very kind introduction, Dean. I will rethink your pay in a good way. I'm excited to be here today. This is certainly an impressive gathering, not only of old friends and colleagues, but also the next generation of great leaders and innovators in media. I don't have time to mention every person here today whom I worked with or have been inspired by, but I do want to call out one, Max Frankel. Max first joined the New York Times in 1982. God bless you, Max. He won a Pulitzer Prize for his coverage of President Nixon's trip to China in 1973. And from 1986 to 1994, he was our executive editor. 6 people have served in that role during my time as publisher, but Max was the first, and I will never forget what I learned, Max, working with you. I will never forget the great contribution that you have made to the New York Times. So, congratulations to today's winners. Also want to add my congratulations to Tom Brokaw, who we'll be hearing from shortly. Tom's made such an extraordinary contribution to media over the course of his career, including inspiring so many people to become great journalists. And I want to thank the Newhouse School and Dean Brenham for this award. I'm honored to stand here on behalf of all my colleagues at the Times. It is especially meaningful knowing that the list of past honorees included the great David Carr, whose coverage of the media industry is missed by everyone who works for the Times and everyone who reads it. I think a lot about what David would make of all that is happening around us right now, as his successor, Jim Rutenberg, did so well in yesterday's column. Yes, you can go read it now. And Eric Alterman, thank you for your one-hand remarks. These are certainly compelling and interesting times with all we're seeing with Brexit, with the upending of political norms across the globe, with tumult in the Middle East and South America, widening economic and cultural divisions here in the United States. This is an especially powerful moment for journalism. One of the key tenets of a prosperous democracy is the free flow of information. When everything about our society is changing rapidly and relentlessly, the need for quality information, for truth, and for accountability grows as well. Arguably, that need has never been greater than right now. We're in a time of constant change and innovation, as this award signifies. And though we must embrace this change, we also, as Dean so eloquently put it, need to hold true to our core principles. The mission of the New York Times, which guides everything we do, is focused on creating, collecting, and distributing the highest quality news, information, and opinion, while upholding what we believe is the gold standard of journalism. This has been our commitment for 165 years, and it remains the central principle that sustains our work. We are not the only source of news and information in the world, of course. The internet has more writers than ever. But the economics of news today means that fewer journalists have the time or resources necessary to do impactful original reporting. And I'm proud to say that at the Times, we do. So as the most important story of our time unfolds all around us, we are in an enviable position amid a constantly evolving landscape. Journalists play a key role in democracy, though we take every precaution and employ the lessons learned through decades of experience of reporting, as Dean mentioned, on refugees, wars, epidemics, and political turmoil. Our reporters are being expelled from countries, they're being injured, and alas, even killed, in order to bear witness on the ground and report the facts. That was the inspiration behind the Truth is Hard, our Truth is Hard campaign that we launched earlier this year to show that producing quality independent journalism requires commitment, expertise, and resources. For similar reasons, we have pushed ourselves to explore new ways of fulfilling our mission. One example is our recent hiring of Bret Stephens as an opinion columnist. Our editorial page editor, James Bennett, and I believe that our opinion page should be a destination for thoughtful debate from a wide range of viewpoints. Shutting down reasonable debate instead of engaging in coherent, fact-based arguments is dangerous to democracy. Challenging assumptions forces us to think harder about our positions on critical issues facing the world today. That not only sharpens our work, but it benefits our readers. I've always known that investing in our news gathering operation was the most important commitment we could make. In a way, you could say it's my family's special recipe for success. During World War II, when the government was rationing newsprint, my grandfather, Arthur Hayes Sulzberger, scaled back publishing ads to give more space to news stories because that's what our country needed. In the 1970s, during financially precarious times, my father, Punch Sulzberger, chose to fatten the news operation rather than reduce its ambitions. And I fully expect us to further enrich the quality of our debate with other honest and intelligent voices, including some currently underrepresented in our pages. This commitment to doing great journalism is not easy and it's never cheap, but it is unquestionably important. We hold power to account impartially and unflinchingly, and we always bring the same fairness, the same level of scrutiny, the same independence to our coverage as we have throughout our 165 years. And I know from looking out at all of you in this room right now that we are not alone. So on behalf of all my colleagues at the New York Times, thank you again for this wonderful honor and for your unwavering commitment to those shared principles and in your belief in the power and importance of media. Thank you.
Okay, we close our program with one of the main reasons I am here today. We're honoring a legend, one of the most recognizable and important journalists of our time, who's the recipient of this year's Fred Dressler Leadership Award. I have to say that I once got into a bet with this man about a detail from my own life. I will spare you the details, but I said, no, I know it happened at this particular moment. And he said, no, it didn't happen then. And I said, yes, it did. Want to bet? And I shook his hand, and he was right. So, like the gentleman that he is, I ended up writing a check to the World War II Museum in his honor. This award is named for late Time Warner cable executive and Newhouse alum Fred Dressler, and it's given by the Newhouse School to recognize an individual who has made a distinct, consistent, and unique contribution to the public's understanding of the media. This year, the Dressler Award goes to Tom Brokaw, and here to present the award is my boss, Andrew Lack, chairman of NBC News and MSNBC. But first, please enjoy this video tribute featuring some of Tom's friends and colleagues.